And welcome to the Country Telegraph. Nice to have your company. We're halfway through the week. I can't wait. 2 more days before the footy. Hopefully my team will win. We're only playing the second best side in the league, so I don't have much hope, but I'll be there in spirit at least, or drinking spirits. Some of the news making headlines around Australia before we get into our guest. Dairy leaders have warned some farmers face going into deficit or shutting up shop after the biggest milk processors offered flat opening prices. Victorian Treasurer Jacqueline Symes has failed to publish how the $1.5 billion emergency services levy is allocated, despite a promise to do so annually, which is not typical of government at all. Oh yeah, forgot that bit. Autumn has delivered for major farming districts with above average rainfall across many regions, although much of it didn't arrive until late May. But let's hope that it's still a bumper crop, considering what's happening around the world at the moment and in this country. The Nationals will launch a new private members bill to force the Victorian government to assess farming impacts before approving renewable energy transmission or mining projects. And we'll talk about some mining projects very shortly with Ross Johns. But first of all, if you want to make sure you're up to date, want to find out what's happening around the country, don't forget to subscribe to the Country Telegraph on YouTube or Rumble, and follow us on Facebook and X, which we are live right now.
They're just wiping farming families off the map.
We produce some of the best crops worldwide, so why would you want to take that away?
If they mine this land, it will be lost forever.
This is the Donald Mineral Sands mine site, so they plan to dig this land down to about 25 metres deep. And the road we're standing next to here will be mining trucks and traffic for the next 30, 40 years.
When farmers speak up, we should listen. They know our land. They've farmed it for 150 years. So why is no one hearing them when they say,
don't destroy it, because once it's gone, it's gone.
Ryan Milgate will soon see a rare earth mineral mine out of his kitchen window. Paul Trotter will watch it slowly creep up to his home, turfing out his family. David and his parents, Peter and Murray Byrne, have already been offered money to sell. David's a fifth-generation Minyip crop farmer in the heart of the wheat belt, a small town 3.5 hours northwest of Melbourne.
This is truly prime agricultural land, what we are on here.
Home is where you can hear the birds sing and ride the same tracks your ancestors did.
That's the true meaning of it, really.
But these homes and farms sit atop a deposit of critical minerals and rare earth elements needed to power renewable energy and make household items like batteries, phones and paint. Astron Limited plans to mine more than 1,000 hectares of this land, making it the 4th largest rare earth project in the world outside China.
I try every day, and I try to think of a better future for the kids and another place, but yeah, I can't.
They want to mine on prime agricultural land, and Canberra's not standing in their way. They're fast-tracking it.
President Trump, sir, your message to the people of Australia. Love that.
A day after this handshake, the mine was given major project status by the Australian government and took away any hope these farmers had.
It was gut-wrenching.
Sarah's raising 4 kids on her husband's family farm, where the lemon trees are antiques.
I sort of feel like the government's against us, against farmers at the moment, and we have nothing. No one is helping us.
Digging at the mine is set to start in 2027, and 7,000 tonnes of Aussie earth will be sent to Utah in the United States every year.
They're trying to just pick out all this prime food bowl country and turn it into a mine and give all the money overseas at the cost of the people that have built the country.
Incredible, isn't it? Thanks to Channel 9 Current Affair for that. It's about a year old now, or not quite a year old, but it's been around for a while. Now, last year, Australia and the US signed that $8.5 billion critical minerals deal. It was in October, I think it was. It's estimated that critical minerals in the Murray Basin area are valued at around about $200 billion, of which almost 85% is in Victoria. Now, while the economic benefits are hyped, there are major problems if mining will take place on productive farming land. The Donald Rare Earths and Mineral Sands project is near the town of Minyip in the Wimmera region of Victoria. I know Minyip. I used to drive past it sometimes. The site contains significant reserves of zirconium, titanium and rare earth elements. The land is currently arable and mixed use, as you saw there. The Western Victoria mine is a joint venture between local investors and a US mining giant. The federal government has awarded special status to what will become the world's fourth largest rare earth mine outside of China. Now, there are major concerns in the local community. We're going to talk to Ross Johns about this. Ross, by the way, is president of the Wimmera Valley Environmental and Agricultural Protection Association, Inc. And Ross Johns has built a career in agribusiness finance and brings decades of experience in the Australian agricultural sector. Now, Ross was born in Warracknabeal in 1832 and farms land west of Warracknabeal growing wheat, barley, canola and lentils, along with sheep for wool and meat production. Ross has also undertaken a new career, that of being a presenter every day on Facebook, and every day he's looking better and better. In fact, one day we had the agent for Brad Pitt call and say, I didn't know Brad was in Victoria. Ross Johns, you're looking a very, very handsome specimen, not?
Thank you very much. I was born in 1966, not 1832, but anyway.
Sorry. I had to throw that part in just to be cheeky. Tell us in a nutshell where we are at the moment.
Well, there still remains a lot of concerns around the mining projects in the Wimmera Valley. It's not just the Donald Mineral Sands, but the other number of mining projects that are potentially planned. There's absolutely no faith in the government process that's going to be put in place. I think even the local councils, Horsham City Council and Yarriambiack Council, are very concerned that the Wimmera's certainly not ready, and the infrastructure, the roads, the rail, the infrastructure is absolutely not ready, and government should be doing proper planning before this actually even starts to occur.
Is it planning from, in a sense, to do more planning? Would you say that what has replaced the planning bit has been the bulldozing bit?
Well, look, if they start mining, certainly there'll be disruption to the soil type.
But they're just bulldozing it through, aren't they? They're just pushing this through. They don't give a rat's what you think.
No, it certainly feels that that local residents don't have a say. At a function in Horsham yesterday, which was mine ready, run by the industry capacity network and the Wimmera Development Association, there were people excluded from attending. Their tickets were cancelled, and that is absolutely not a way to get community buy-in. We've got to have transparency and community consultation. And it seems to me as if they're just bypassing people with concerns, saying it's going ahead regardless.
You were one of those people. Now, what was their reason?
Well, they didn't really offer a reason. I just turned up there with the full expectation of my ticket being valid, and was told at the door that it wasn't. I was quite disappointed and dismayed, but other people were furious that their tickets were cancelled at such a late notice. And just to hear the information, to understand what's planned and what's going on, we absolutely need community consultation and transparency, and this government seems to be bypassing both of those two things.
And that's why I said they're bulldozing it through. They say that the community benefits from this, 600 jobs, 250 million to local economy. I'm looking for the other bit about the pigs that can fly a bit. I can't, hang on, no, I can't see that. Do you believe that at all, what they're saying, 600 jobs, 205 million, to the local economy? The only bit I believe is not here, and that's about those flying pigs.
Well, I guess what I would see in a mining business is the way to make a profit is to have less employees, more automation, bigger equipment. I think those processes will certainly be underway. A mining company needs to actually have more output with less people. It's totally opposite to how government operates, which is more people, less productivity. A commercial mining company will absolutely need to have productivity, and that will mean less people.
What about to the environment? What will it do?
Well, interestingly, they're going around some bull oak trees, which is quite remarkable. They're deciding to leave those intact, whereas other projects in the Wimmera are planning to take out endangered bull oak trees, and I point directly to the Warratnable Energy Park. So there's some inconsistencies in government programs, I find, that are quite remarkable, and you would think that the same environmental processes would be applied to both projects, but it doesn't appear to be the case.
You guys are taking a bit of a battering right now. They want to put up monstrosities, some call them windmills, and you got some transmission lines being plonked up all over the place, and they're digging bloody great big holes in the area. Is there a message there for you?
Well, I just think that government doesn't have a real good grasp and understanding of what it means to be a food producer and how important it is for humanity, for Australia and for Victoria. To be able to produce reliable, good quality food is a very important thing. And our government has shortcut that with some short-term ideas about dollars, revenue, or in fact power lines that I think is not consistent with a good long-term strategic direction that a nation should hold. And we've really got to try and convince these politicians that there are other dimensions to rural and regional Australia. Agriculture feeds the country and provides 14% of our export revenue. It's a very important industry for Australia.
I'm just wondering, because it says local investors along with I think a US investor are involved. A story that came out the other day, which is quite interesting, Netflix, out of the 1.45 billion they made from Australia, eventually 20 million was paid in taxes, which isn't quite right, and not a whole lot went back to the Australian economy at all. This being majority owned by the overseas investor, being in the US, can you see them? I'm being facetious, by the way. Can you see them putting back into the Wimmera, putting back into Victoria? All I can see, and they're going to also take the earth there, ship it over to the US to be processed. What are they putting in? I mean, there must be some people there that think this is as we would say, a beaut idea.
Well, some people think they're going to benefit from it in a financial way. But from a national point of view, we should be prioritising things that are important for the country. And okay, sure, we should mine some rare earth minerals, and already there's some in New South Wales in grazing land. There's some in Western Australia. And in fact, there's Northern Minerals was a rare earth miner that the Treasurer just recently has instructed 6 shareholders to divest their investments, and no one's actually done a check of the shareholders who are in these companies vying for positions in the Wimmera Mallee, including Goshen and some of those, who those shareholders are, and well may we have the Treasurer issue compulsory sell downs by some of those shareholders again in these projects. And if that's true, we've got the federal government doing one thing and we've got the state government doing another, which is fast-tracking approvals.
Yeah, and also you can see that both governments have got no idea what they're doing, and I'm not being biased here. And I used to vote Labor once upon a time, but then I grew up. What about the compulsory acquisition? Can they? Because I know you're not a Labor supporter anyway, so I can say that quite safely in front of you, and carefully around others. What about the compulsory acquisition that Victoria can do? We see what they're doing with all the. They want to put in the Vic Grid, want to put in those bloody great big towers and windmills and all sorts of things, and they can acquire land and say, "Bugger off, mate! This is ours now." Can they do the same with the mines?
Absolutely. Well, the VNI West and Western Renewable Link, the Victorian government passed some new, more powerful legislation to compulsorily acquire. That seems very unreasonable. The miners actually have legal rights, and I think that's a reasonable thing to have. I guess what we've got to do is balance up the needs of food production with the needs for rare earth, and there's no point being hungry if all we've got is a pile of rare earths to sell. Practical thing of producing food is a very important issue for Australia. And by the way, I actually do very much support Labor. I think I love the people that work for me. I think they're fantastic. I really like rewarding them for their work and effort. But this current government is eroding the buying power of the salaries of our workers just with the extreme inflation rate that's occurring. So I think they're setting in place policies that are hurting ordinary Labor people. So, and I think we can do so much better, and we should expect much better of our governments.
Yeah, I think the state of politics either side, or actually there's three now with One Nation, with all either side and one in the middle. They're all got question marks over the top of their heads. What will this do? I mean, okay, so let's not get to that first of all. Can you stop it?
Well, I'm not sure we really have the power to stop, particularly the Donald Mineral Sands mine, but I think we can insist on a proper process. I think we should insist that rural and regional communities' infrastructure should be maintained and kept up. I think we should insist on proper rehabilitation. I think to have an idea that we can actually prevent something from occurring, I think is a very interesting thing. The mentality of farmers and the community is probably to a point where they're really mistrusting the process, and a mistrusting process means that civil disobedience is probably close at hand to try and get some reasonable rationale and some consideration in relation to regional infrastructure and the negative impacts, to mitigate some of the biggest negative impacts of the mining process.
Yeah, I think civil disobedience is on the cards, and you don't want to mess with the men from Minyip or their wives, because they're just as terrifying. What will this do if government continues to do what they're doing with the transmission lines, with windmills, solar panel farms, mines, all that sort of stuff? What will it do to the not just the community, but the makeup, the feel of the Victorian rural landscape?
Oh, well, certainly there'll be some pretty big scars created. Already, it's certainly quite divisive. Some people want the mining projects to proceed ASAP, whereas many people, and including the local councils, want a proper process. I think we should absolutely insist on a proper process. We shouldn't be hoodwinked by the short-term gains. We've got to actually make sure that we're doing the right thing by the nation. We're building a nation. We're building value for Australians, and we're building the right industries to continue to grow and prosper. So I think that's the area that I think government's falling down on, both state and federal. And we've got to come back to a more rational way of thinking about what we want Australia to be, how we want our future to be, and how we want to create a viable, long-term, ongoing industry for both agriculture and potentially mining in certain areas.
With the governments doing what they are doing, or what I mentioned before and what we talk about, is there a future on the land?
Well, absolutely there is. I think food production, everyone needs to eat 3 times a day, and producing food is a very important thing. The economic squeeze on agriculture has been ongoing all my farming career. Being able to drive productivity, grow more food with less inputs, and a grain production has actually delivered that over a 35-year period with 3.7% compound productivity growth, whereas the entire economy is only growing at maybe 1%. And particularly in this last quarter, 0.3% growth in the GDP. Farmers have been driving productivity on their farms in both dairy, grains, livestock to a lesser degree, but farmers have to keep driving that productivity, and I think we should expect the same of other parts of the economy, whether it's government programs or whether it's policing or any other industry within the community. We should be expecting the same productivity growth from those industries.
Now, I gave the Labor Party a bit of a bash on the head before. I have to say I enjoyed that immensely, but let's not forget the other. Let's not forget the other side, though. People often say, different party, whether it's the LNP or whether it's the communist. It's the same policies, different faces. Will this be the case with this?
Well, who knows? I think, unfortunately, we've got a government that is not rewarding enterprise and work. I would have thought the Labor side of politics would have absolutely been rewarding work and enterprise. But they seem to be taxing both of those two things. So even decent people that go out and get an extra job will pay higher and higher taxes. This is completely unreasonable. We should be encouraging people to work and create things. And we need a totally different structure in Australia if we're going to actually grow our economy and become a better and better nation for the future. So I think it can be done. I think we need to think about things differently. I think we should be trying to grow our economy, not overtax it into shrinking. And that appears to be what the current government, both state and federal, are doing. We're taxing more and more of the economy. The tax take out of the economy now is the largest tax take in Australian history as a percentage of GDP. This just cannot continue. The harder you work, the more you pay, the less incentive there is to actually go and do any work. And that's a really sad thing for young people. It's not intergenerational fairness. It's very much intergenerational unfairness that this current government's forcing on the younger generation of Australians. And I think that's totally wrong and needs to be rectified.
Well said. Ross Johns, if somebody wants to find out more about WMEAP, I know that off by heart because I watch your videos. And I have to say you're looking much, much better every day. Good camera angle, speaking concisely and distinctly. If they want to watch your videos every day to wake up to Ross, how would they do that?
Well, I post them on Facebook on the Wimmera Mallee Environmental and Agricultural Protection Association page. And I just basically have 2 minutes of something relevant, something timely, and something that I think the Australian population need to hear and understand. And I'm amazed by the penetration of the views, and some of these videos are getting sort of 80,000 views and more. I'm gobsmacked, and I've done it every day now for probably 16 months, something like that. And every day I get up, have a shower, get out and do a video at 7:30 in the morning and post it. So, yeah.
Today went for 5 minutes, by the way, because I said I'll watch it 5 minutes. And we play that too. We play them because I think what you're saying is bang on. So, but I couldn't play today because you're here live. So thank you.
No worries. I'm more than happy to be here live. But certainly I'm more than happy for anyone to use those. Whoops.
Well, there he goes. Come back.
I just knocked the camera off. To use those videos in whatever way they wish, and for the betterment of society, betterment of Australia, and the future of the younger generation. I think it's very important.
Absolutely brilliant and well picked up, by the way. It was so quick. You'll be selected for Australia before you know it. Ross Johns, thank you. I'm lying, by the way. Ross Johns, thank you so much for your time. This is the Country Telegraph.
Thank you, Mike.
Tickets are on sale now for Lunch with the Farmer, Sunday, 5th of July in Port Melbourne. Pier 35, absolutely gorgeous setting overlooking the port. Come and have lunch with the farmers, thank them, shake their hand, look them in the eye and say thank you for feeding us. Tickets are available 1000paddocks.org, $70 a head, 3-course meal. It's going to be a cracker afternoon. See you there.
Welcome back to the Country Telegraph. Great to have your company on this Wednesday. Footy tomorrow, then we have Friday, then party time all weekend. Well, maybe not, but I'd look forward to my weekends, I have to say. Love working, but I do look forward to the weekend. Australia's biggest olive producer, Cobram Estate Olives, is shifting expansion to California despite strong local demand. Chairman Rob McGavin blames soaring temporary water prices, taxes, red tape and rising fuel and fertiliser costs for making domestic investment simply uneconomic. Our next guest is Dr. Michael Southern, and who's the CEO of the Australian Olive Association. Michael brings over 20 years' experience in the grains industry. He has a PhD in agricultural chemistry and has spent the past decades involved in agriculture. He is the owner of a mixed farm in New South Wales where he grazes beef cattle and sheep, as well as growing crops and nut trees. Michael, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Mike.
Tell us about Cobram Estates. Is that a shock?
No, it's not. They've had an operation in California for quite a few years now, and part of their decision to do that has been, I think, very sensible in that they're diversifying in terms of spreading risk. Where they've selected to set up to is ideal in terms of producing very high quality extra virgin olive oil in the US. The latitude's not too dissimilar from where they have their Victorian operations. And they've got, as you mentioned, they've got the advantage there that they don't have these restrictions on particularly water. So here in Australia, when we have a dry time, prices of water go through the roof. They're astronomical, and we have people who speculate on the water market. They buy water when it's cheap, when there's plenty of it around and farmers don't need as much, and then they'll sit on it and they'll sell it when the price is high and when farmers need it. In the US and California, that doesn't happen. You can't buy water if you're not a farmer. So they can use the groundwater, the water that's underneath the trees, to irrigate those trees, and there's just a huge market opportunity for them to invest there. So they've been very astute in the way that they've looked at their business, and they've looked into the future to determine how they'll grow that business. And they are now the largest vertically integrated olive oil business in the world.
Incredible. But if Rob McGavin is saying what he's saying, and if he is right, will we lose others to the US? And what's the difference there than here?
Yeah, look, that's right. I think it's terrific to see an Australian business divest, or not divest, but look to expand overseas, because so often we don't see that. We're seeing people coming into Australia from overseas. But I think that it's just getting harder and harder to run profitable businesses here in Australia because of all the bureaucracy, the challenges that we have. And so if there's an opportunity to run it in another country, then why not? And we should be supporting that. I think that Cobram have been able to establish their brand as producing a premium product, and that will continue in the US as well. So they've maintained their name, Cobram Estate Olives. The logo's a little bit different, but it's something that suits the US market. And why wouldn't others follow suit? I think that we're probably not going to see too much of that happening maybe just yet, but we still have a huge opportunity here in Australia. So as I've mentioned previously, we only produce half of the extra virgin olive oil that we consume in Australia. The other half is imported. So there's still huge opportunity here, and Cobram Estate is still increasing production here as well. They haven't abandoned us. They're still increasing their production here. It's just that they've got some fantastic opportunities in the US as well.
So they'll still keep open here, still maintain their premises or business, but also then develop that in the US. Is that how it is?
Correct. This is an expansion opportunity from the Australian market. So they reckon they've probably still got 25% more production to come online with the trees they have here in Australia. So they have a lot of young trees that have been recently planted and are only just starting to hit their straps in terms of being commercially viable for harvesting now, and there's still more to come. So they're absolutely still very focused on the Australian market, but they see some terrific opportunity in the US as well. And what that does, that actually, because of the focus on quality here in Australia and the fact that olive oil has these quality standards, and it's the only food in Australia that does have an Australian standard, they can help develop that same quality premise and push in the US as well. And so we're just going to see this fantastic lift in terms of quality across the world for olive oil and extra virgin olive oil particularly, which is such a great, healthy product for us.
It is magnificent, but I'm just intrigued. Rob McGavin blames soaring temporary water prices, taxes, red tape, rising fuel, fertiliser cost for making domestic investment uneconomic.
Look, there's no doubt that's certainly part of the decision-making process, because of this fact that they'll pay multiples in terms of price for water when it's dry, and they're buying large quantities of water to water 2 million trees. So yes, there's no doubt that this all has an impact. If it was all fantastic to sit here, why wouldn't you ramp up production here and then export the product across to the US? But it makes more sense to go over there and to increase their business in the US. So there's no doubt that there are constraints in Australia that are impeding expansion and just making it more difficult and reducing profitability. So if you can't do it profitably, then why do it? But if you can move to another place where you can, that's fantastic. But as I've said, their roots are here in Australia, and they're certainly not leaving Australia. So they're just part of. I think it's a real success story in what they're doing. They've got fantastic forward vision and thinking, and so I think that they're going to be real world players in this space.
I'm sorry, I just find it intriguing. If he's moving overseas because it's not economically viable because of the economic conditions, because water and all that sort of stuff thrown in the mix. He moves overseas. I understand that, to the States. I understand that. But surely this will place the Australian operation. It will make its long-term future quite questionable.
No, quite the opposite. They've already been operating in the US for 10 years now, or probably longer. So this isn't a new thing. What has really, I suppose, come under notice is the fact that they bought the largest olive oil producer in the US, which has now made them the largest producer in the US and the largest vertically integrated producer in the world. But they've been operating there for quite some years now. And so this is not new for them. And over that time, they've grown the Australian business very successfully as well. They've got a very good team. They have a dual CEO model. So one is based here and the other one's based in the US. But having said that, they both move where they're required at any one time. So when it's harvest here in Australia, you'll find both of them here, and harvest in the US, they'll both be there if required. So look, I think they've worked out very successfully how to run two successful businesses in two different countries, and I think it's a real credit to them to be able to do that, and they've done it very quietly, but I think have really shown that it's a real success story.
Interesting, the California. Out of the entire continental US, it would have the worst reputation for water. In fact, the water table is dropping. It's just dropping every year. And if you look at the dams, they're quite low. They have a different approach to water, though. They, if you go to the go Central California and inland, you'll find that, and further up north, you'll find that they value farm production. And at times at the expense of local communities. So it's quite interesting. Their philosophy is way different than what other parts of the world, their response to droughts. The US, having lived there, the Californian government, it's full steam ahead. And pity if you rely on water, because there are many towns there without water. They have no fresh water because of the water table, and dams and rivers and stuff are either polluted or just being used for agricultural production, which I think, on one hand, it's great. It says that we do consider what you're doing is of great importance to that country and the economy. On the other hand, though, you wonder where they're going, because their response to the drought, and they're always in drought because that's just the nature of California. But if the snows are bad, they're going to be in deep trouble. And as I said, the water table is just dropping dramatically, and it has been doing that for quite some time. So a great, at least they're encouraging business there, and those on the land, they're right behind them. What about the Australian government? Are they? Because they at the moment they're putting their hand into that great big tax bucket and ripping out trillions of dollars from the Australian communities. Are they supporting those on the land enough, and those that grow olives enough, or can they do more?
Well, look, no, I don't think so. We have some fantastic opportunities here in Australia, and it's interesting that you raise the issue of that water is still a problem in California in terms of its availability and maybe its quality. But here in Australia, we consider we're a dry country, and yes, look, we are. But having said that, when we have these floods, a lot of water, where does it go? Do we capture it? We've got a resource there that I think we're paying to repair infrastructure, to help people recover, and that's all good. But why haven't we worked out how to harvest this water? Why haven't we worked out how to use this water to increase our production and have it there available, so when times are tough, there's plenty of water for everyone. There's plenty for the community, plenty for the environment, and most importantly, plenty for the farmers who need it. And so we don't have to have speculators in the market, and farmers can secure water and know that it's there, so that we can maintain production and have consistent production throughout the seasons. So in a way, California and Australia are not that different in terms of we both have dry environments, but it's the way that we look at water as a resource, and I think there's a lot more we can do there. The old Ord scheme When that was first developed many decades ago, it was seen as a white elephant. And it was at the time because they captured the water, but they didn't know how to successfully use it to produce profitable crops up there in that Ord Valley. Now they are, and now there are some fantastic success stories coming out of that area where farmers are tapping into that water and running very successful farming businesses. So that's the sort of thing that, we can do it, and it takes time, it takes money, and it takes knowledge and effort. But I think we have terrific opportunities here, but we need a government or governments that have that long-term vision. And unfortunately, at the moment, I think our governments are simply looking at term to term, cycle to cycle. There's not that real visionary thinking that's going on, and I think that's what people, unfortunately, are getting sick of. Where's the true vision with our governments? I had a colleague who many years ago said to me, he said, politicians should be held accountable like anyone else working in a company. You should actually have to stand up and have a set of KPIs and demonstrate your performance against those KPIs. And if you do well, reward them, pay them well. But if you don't do well, see you later. I thought, tell you what, that's not a bad way to look at it.
Two things that really come to mind. To think we haven't got a train from one end to the other end, linking Victoria right up, single gauge, but they haven't got that. They keep talking about, and the very fast train, there's another one. Yeah, we'll have a fast train one day. And you mentioned the water. We suffer such extreme droughts. And for example, in Victoria, it's a drought, lack of water. WA, the same thing, parts of it. East Coast, Queensland up, around Gold Coast, for example, and right up north, too much water. They should be harvesting it because it would make this country a lot more economically secure version of what it should be.
Yes, I agree. I think so. And we just, again, it comes back to that vision. How do we capture those fantastic resources that we do have, and like your previous story, not just dig it out of the ground because it's there today, gone tomorrow. The droughts come, the droughts go, the rain comes and the rain goes, but we know that those cycles continue.
Yep, not climate change. Don't get me going. We must not go there, otherwise we'll be here all night. Just tell me quickly, have you had any luck with the Health Star rating system that discriminates against olive oil?
We're actually in the process of putting together our response to the call for submissions from the government at the moment. So we have to have that in by the 21st of this month. And we've been communicating to our members and to growers that this is an issue and why it's an issue. So just to recap, at the moment, the Health Star rating system is supposed to help consumers identify healthier foods over those that are less healthy. The problem is that the process, the calculation, doesn't factor in health benefits such as the polyphenols that are in extra virgin olive oil that make it such a healthy food product, and is why it's been so successful in the Mediterranean diet, and why the Mediterranean diet is recommended to be part of a healthy diet. So at the moment, if you look at a seed oil, something like canola oil, which is pretty much all unsaturated fat, versus olive oil that has a little bit of saturated fat, it might be 10-15%, based on that alone, the seed oil, which is refined, so they use solvents to actually extract the oil from the seed meal, and then they take that solvent back out, is seen to be more healthy. It has a higher score on the Health Star rating system than extra virgin olive oil, but we know that it's not healthier for us. So it's actually misleading. And so what we're encouraging government, and we're encouraging consumers and those to just people generally to respond to this call for submissions, is to say leave edible oils out because the system doesn't work for those particular single ingredient foods. Fine for other things, and we support any sort of process that does help consumers identify healthier foods, But for a single ingredient food, such as edible oils, so extra virgin olive oil and your canola oil, your vegetable oil, it doesn't work. So leave them out until we work out a better way to identify what's healthy when it comes to edible oils.
I'm very conscious of my health, and every Friday night I have this pizza, but I have olives.
Great.
I've had the olives on it, and they actually make it. I normally
Yes.
find a third glass of whiskey also helps. I don't know if that's so healthy, but anyway.
I can relate to that.
Yeah. If somebody wants to find out more about the Australian Olive Association and yourself, how do they do that?
Well, look, you can go to our website, which is theaustralianolives.com.au, to learn more about what's happening in the Australian olive industry. If people want to make a response to the Health Star rating system and the call for submissions there, you can go to the Food Standards Australia New Zealand website. But look, come to us, contact us, and we'll help you, and also help you to through the process in terms of making a submission as well.
Yeah, my neighbours, Italians there were in Mildura, they would have this stuff I think they called alcohol, but it used to clean the engine of the tractor, and they would have olives. And they would have olives coming out of your you-know-what. So it must do some good. They were at a ripe old age when they fell off the perch too, so I'm sure that...
There you go.
The liver had taken a bit of a beating, but the rest of it was working pretty well. Michael, thank you so much for your time, and we'll do more of this too. And good luck with your ventures with the Australian government. You'll need all the luck you can get. This is the Country Telegraph.
So here we go. Here's the epitome of stupidity. We're about to blow Liddell up. It's a case of, there we go, blow it up. There goes your... That's what we're doing to the power grid. Could have refurbished it. Could have fixed it up. But oh no. There goes Australia's prosperity. The end of coal-fired power. Back to the intermittent swindle. See, they're making absolutely certain you can't go back to coal-fired power because they're making too much out of the swindle. They're ripping you off because they think you're gullible. So there you go. That's what we're doing to Australia. It's incredible, isn't it? Absolutely incredible. AGL, guess who one of the biggest shareholders is? The live event is now complete. Thank you for joining in this important moment in the Liddell Power Station story. That's like when they blew it up. AGL, one of the big shareholders is Mr. Michael Cannon Brooks, who's also very interested in intermittent power. Very. And then this ridiculous thing, power prices to fall. How are you going to do that when you're reducing how much power we can get? I mean, they always say this rubbish. Always. It never does.
It's been many months in the planning, this demolition of the chimney stacks. It's the first phase of the dismantling of the coal-fired power station at Liddell, as I say, which has supplied energy to New South Wales for 50 years. AGL confident that site, with its transmission capability and so on, will form an industrial site for many, many years to come. But the era of the coal-fired power station at Liddell is no more.
You get Joe Marino here from Farmer Pride. I'm just down in the lovely state island of Tasmania, watching the yard dog trials. And these sheepdogs are incredible workers. They're just like an extra man in the sheep yards. And it certainly saves you having to work with your wife in the sheep yards, because that can go pear-shaped very quickly, as we all know. But I was thinking the work dogs are just like taxpayers in this country. Work hard, get the job done. But at least the sheepdog gets a treat at the end of his day. And fly the flag for ag.
I like that. Joe Marino, sometimes politically incorrect, just about all the time. But I do like it. Good on you. If you're on the land, doing a magnificent job. I couldn't do what you're doing. In fact, I didn't. I ran to the big smoke as soon as I could. But I was younger and much more immature then. Some say not. Want to find out what the weather's going to be like for the next day or so? Let's go to the Weather Bureau, or BOM, as I say.
Hello, I'm Angus. This is the Bureau National Weather Forecast. We're looking at Thursday's weather. That'll be the 4th of June. And we continue to see big impacts from this low pressure area near Tasmania. It's a powerful, deep, complex weather system. It is drifting eastwards though, and that means during the day on Thursday it will cross Tasmania, move into the Tasman Sea, and finally start to move away from the country. But as it does depart, it will whip bands of wintry weather across the southeast with rain, wind, even some hail and snow expected in some areas. This is certainly the corner of nasty weather though. If you're not in this part of the country, it is going to be a bright, settled, sunny winter's day. And that includes all of Queensland. Some beautiful winter weather up here. We could have some cool temperatures in the morning, just the mid-single digits for some inland spots, about 6 to 7 degrees, closer to 10 to 12 degrees across the east coast. Maybe a little bit of fog here and there at first, but a beautiful sunny day after all that burns off. Brisbane is tracking towards a high of 23 degrees, Rockhampton forecast to reach 27, and Townsville and Cairns up to 28. Very different story when you look at New South Wales. We anticipate some showers on and west of the mountain ranges, right out towards the far west of the state. Not big rainfall totals, but certainly some passing rainfall there. And that does include mountain areas like ACT, Canberra looking for a wet day, Wagga Wagga likely to see some showers as well. Across the east coast, including Sydney, Newcastle and Wollongong, a passing shower is possible, but really low amounts of rainfall. And most of the day will be dry and actually rather sunny, but it will be breezy. It will be windy right across the state, very windy up in the mountains with some warnings in play. Temperatures are cool, a little on the cool side of the average for the time of year in most places, and down in the far south where it is especially cold, we could see some snow in the mountains. Alright, it's been a little bit wet each day so far this week, but for Thursday that rainfall is going to step up a notch and really push to the next level. Much more persistent and potentially some heavier rainfall, particularly around central Victoria. That certainly includes Melbourne. Very wet day for the capital, but also up through central areas, down across the peninsulas, down to the southwest. It is going to be very, very wet. A number of areas could get 20 to 30 millimetres of rain for the day. That could be more for eastern parts of Melbourne up and towards the Dandenongs, where we could easily see 40 millimetres through the day. Also very wet through Gippsland. With the wind coming up from the south, it is feeling very chilly outside as well. Maximum temperatures in the 12 to 14 degree range for many areas, but feeling colder thanks to wind chill. As the low pressure area near Tasmania slowly moves away during the day, we'll see southerly winds get going, and that's going to really put a lid on the temperatures down here for Thursday. Highs of 13 degrees in Hobart, pushing 15 or 16 in the north, but with that wind blowing through, it is feeling cooler than what you see here. There will be some wet weather, especially morning and afternoon, mostly down in the south here, so really quite a wet first half of the day for Hobart. Could see 15 to 25 millimetres of rain there. Should clear up as the day comes to a close. Not as much rain in the north, just a couple of millimetres. Passing showers, passing cloud across southern parts of South Australia tomorrow. The wind is again up from the southwest, keeping those temperatures in the mid-teens for southern areas. Most of the rain will come through in the morning and afternoon and should start to be breaking up and drying up as we move to the evening. Adelaide headed for a high of 15 degrees, but feeling quite chilly, spending time outdoors. Clear and cloudless, but still quite cool for the north of the state. It's a real high pressure day in Western Australia, and what that means is the morning will be still and calm and chilly, maybe a bit of fog, maybe even a bit of frost for some inland parts like the wheat belt and the goldfields. It does warm up to something in the mid or upper teens for most of southern WA, and the sun will come out. Beautiful afternoon, nice and calm as well, with high pressure nearby. Showers are really at a minimum across the state tomorrow, just some really light falls across the south coast, including Albany, Esperance and Eucla. Should be dry everywhere else. And certainly dry up across the north of the country. Not much to point to here in the forecast. Just some cold morning temperatures here, 7 degrees in the south. We could even see some 13s and 14s across parts of the top end, so a little bit fresh at first, but a nice, bright, clear, sunny afternoon is anticipated. You can get more info for the rest of the week or weekend by finding your forecast on the BOM weather app or the BOM website. Thanks so much. Have a great day.
haven't been to the races until you've been to the Boulia Camel Races. It's the big one, the Melbourne Cup of Camel Racing. Bring your camping gear and light up the campfire, or spoil yourself with a luxury glamping stay. There'll be great live music, plus 2 days of the best camel racing action in Australia. Check out bouliacamelraces.com.au.
That's about it. How would you like your camel? One hump or two? It's so corny. It's a dad's joke. Can't help it. Don't blame me. Blame Mother Nature for making such bad jokes. But I find those things funny because they're so stupid. There's a camel farm of sorts in the scenic rim just behind the Gold Coast. And a guy has all these camels. I've forgotten what it's called. Got to do a show from there hopefully one day. Anyway, he says the camels are just like golden retrievers, but a little larger. So they want to sit on your lap. What a horrible thought. Nice thing, pat, pat, go away. Anyway, have a great one. Nice to have your company too, by the way, for this show. Hopefully we'll extend it a bit longer, just so that we do collapse, because we're not collapsing yet, just tottering on our feet. But anyway, I think it's a great program. Enjoy the company, enjoy the guest. A lot goes into it, and beauty, as they would say in the classics. Have a good one. Catch you tomorrow. This is the Country Telegraph.